Hello friends, welcome to another Heartfelt Friday. I'm so glad you're here with me. Alright, so today I have been pulling out some flowers that I just hadn't worked with in a while, and one of those was a hydrangea. So today I've made just a nice little card that can be used for all kinds of occasions with the hydrangea. So let's go ahead and change our camera view and take a look at our card. Alright, so here it is. And I pulled out a stamp. Some of you may recognize it back there. It is my background stamp, and this came from a set that was called the Buttons and Blooms, and it had like a little denim pocket and some patchwork flowers. So this was a background stamp that came out with that set. So if you happen to have that set, you can pull that out. Maybe you're like me and you just hadn't used it in a long time, but it's such a fun little stitched background die, or stamp, sorry, that's not a die, it's a stamp. All right, so let's look at what we're going to use to make this card. Our main die that we're using is the Flourish Companion, and we'll need to cut this out twice. Once from white, and from the white, we're not going to use the outer frame, we're going to use the inner frame. So we'll need that. And then you're going to cut it out once from the Deluxe Silver, and that we'll take the outer frame for that. From our paper pad, I've cut two pieces of paper, one 5x7 and one 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. So that's a 1/4 inch smaller on the top and bottom so that we have a nice frame. And I did go around those edges of my paper with my archival Vivid Chartreuse. All right, also from the paper pad, I cut myself a tag. And sometimes I forget to use that tag page, but it makes a nice way to add a sentiment when you're making just a simple card. I like that, and I like those little birds on there, so there's that. Now for our main stamps, let me get those out here. I don't have my packaging for the hydrangea. I had already put those into a stamp binder. So we'll be using both of these, and you need to stamp both of them twice. And I stamped mine in the manganese blue. But hydrangeas are a fun flower that you can color and shade in lots of different ways. And so you can stamp that really in any shade that you like. Now, they're not really in yellows and oranges, but they do come like in pinkish colors. They come in white, and they come in blues and purples. So those are some fun colors. But stamp each of these twice. And of course the coordinating dies. And then our very large hydrangea stem with bulb, I stamped that in the leaf green. And of course the coordinating die. So, okay, so I think that gives us most of our pieces. Now I did come back and use the shaping mold as well for the hydrangeas. Now the hydrangeas are a very simple flower to shape by hand if you don't have the mold, but I use the mold today. Okay, so you need quite a large pile of little individual flowers in order to make the hydrangea, and I will show you how I do that. And then this is just a piece of like tissue paper. Oh, what is that called? From the like the kind of paper that you line a cookie sheet with to bake cookies on. That's what this is, and I'll show you what I do with this. And it's just maybe a 6-inch strip, about 2 inches wide, maybe. Just a little piece of that you need. Okay. So to get started, I stamped each of my flowers in the manganese blue, and then I went in the center with either the sunflower and the Vivid Chartreuse, and I wanted them to have that kind of different variation down in there. So I made about half and half on the way I colored them. Then I lightly just swirled around them with the manganese blue very lightly to get my color. And that's how I did all of those. I ran them through my mold face down, And then when they came out of the mold, I put them on my mat, and I took my shaping tool with one of the very small tips, and I just pressed really hard in the center, getting those to cup up much tighter. When they come out of the mold, they're not going to be that tight. You have to come back and give them a little more pressure in the center to get them to really pop up. All right, so let's work on our base first. Just going to go ahead and glue my layers together. So this is an important tip when using this die. If you're going to use the die with the center piece, you want to glue this piece down first, not the frame. Because this frame can shift like this, if you glue this down first, you run the risk of this not lining up quite well. So we're going to do this piece before we go any further. Oops, let me put my pin back in there. Okay. So this is the stitched background piece that I told you about. And the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and grab this is just a piece of paper to protect my surface. Put that down, and then I'm going to leave this right on this mat. I don't have a block big enough, and rather than putting it in a stamping tool, I'm just going to do it just like this. And I am inking this up with Catherine Pooler's Stone Blue. I thought this blue matched my paper the best, so that is what I'm going to do. All right. Now I'm going to make sure that is stamped down. I'm going to put it right on there. And I'm going to take this piece, put it right over the top, and rub down. Trying not to shift it. Hopefully I did not. Okay, and hopefully we have a good impression. Yeah, pretty good. Now you can see over on some of the sides, it didn't quite get full coverage, but that's going to be okay. And I'll show you what we're going to do just to, it looked kind of unfinished to just leave it like this. So I'm going to come back with a blending tool, and I'm going to blend those edges, just adding some shadow. And this looks very pretty once we put our deluxe silver frame around it. So go all the way around, just giving that a nice shadow around the edges. And I'm purposely not doing it too heavy, but I do want to be able to see it. All right, just like that. Okay, so now that we have this piece all ready, we're going to go back to our base that we already started, and I'm going to put this piece down. And I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on so that I can hopefully get it a little more exact. You may notice that my camera is a little bit different. It's a little further away from my table. My husband bought me a whole new setup for my camera, and we'll see how this works. Maybe some of those issues that we had before, hopefully this will solve them. Now I'm looking around to try to make sure these points are kind of equal distance from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Now I'm going to add my glue to the back of my frame. I believe the people that make the Misty came out just recently with some kind of like fancy glue gun holder that feed your glue out, and it's supposed to make like a really fine line. Has anybody seen that yet? I'm gonna have to give that a try, because definitely with these Heartfelt delicate little dies, it might come in handy. All right, so now because we've already got the base piece in place, we can fit this right in where it needs to go. And I have found that if you put the silver piece down first, you may not have it just right to where this is going to fit right in there. So you just kind of slide it in like a puzzle piece. Excuse my head there. Okay. All right. Isn't that pretty? I love this stamp. The way I have it stored, it's not right in front of me, and I kind of had forgotten about it, and I'm just so glad that I found it because I really like it. All right, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to get out our flower shaping mat one more time, and with a large tip, we're going to just add some curl here in the center of our hydrangea. I'm also going to add just a little bit of shape into my leaves. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to put a couple strips of it right here on the inside of my hydrangea. Now, remember that piece of tissue I had? I'm going to wad that up into a ball, kind of a loose ball. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right in there. See that? And this is going to help me create that bulbous shape that I want for my hydrangea. Now, I'm going to take a couple pieces of this and put it right over the top of my tissue ball. Kind of going from the edges of my flower, going right over. All right, see how I did that? So I've got my tissue ball nestled in there right underneath my hydrangea bulb. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is grab some, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. I'm going to grab a little bit of foam tape, and I'm going to put just a couple pieces of foam tape on my leaves. That might be too long. Okay. It's not my usual brand of foam, and it really sticks. It leaves like fuzzies on my finger. All right, so I'm not quite ready to put it down, but I am going to position it. And when we go to put this down, we're going to kind of mash it into place, doing our best to kind of preserve our roundedness there. But before I glue it down, I want to lay my tag in here. And I'm not really going to put my tag in here yet, but I wanted to kind of place it so that I get my flower in the right place. Okay, before I take my double-sided adhesive, I'm going to add some glue around here on the edges and on the stem. I'll be glad when this foam tape is gone. I don't know what brand it is, but I'm not buying it anymore. Okay. Whoops. Now I'm just going to put that at an angle right up here. All right, and I'm just going to hold this down so maybe some of that glue will adhere. And it doesn't have to be all the way glued down all the way around. I'm okay if it kind of comes up a little bit, especially right in there. Yeah. Okay, and when we get ready, we'll be able to feed our tag right in there. Okay, so the next part is adding all of our flowers. So if you look at this stamp, you can see that there's 3 right here that are larger than all the others. And those are kind of guides for you to get started. So in the flowers, I've got some that are larger and some that are smaller. So I'm going to take 3 of these larger ones and I'm going to put them right on these 3 that are a guide. Then this one right over here, I'm going to put a smaller one right there. And once that's done, then you're going to go on and just build it up all the way around. Now I like to use my stylus to hold it in place and count to 10. And that usually does the trick to hold it in place. And I'm just putting my glue right on the little tip and then gluing it right into place. Now I'm going to try to work my way through this kind of quickly because it's pretty much just feeding your flowers and building that up now. There we go. I want one with a yellow. Here's one. And it's really up to you. Sometimes I put them real close together to give it lots of fullness. Like this one, I really press those petals in together to build that up. Or sometimes you can kind of put them further apart so that you it's just more opened up. From here on, it can be random whether you use big ones or small ones. You're just building that up, filling in all the open spots. I think I want one down in there. Okay. You see how I'm just kind of lifting the petals up and putting a flower in my open spaces. That one kind of went down. There we go. There we go. All right, so we're just going to fill all these in, working my way around the flower. Whoops. There we go. All right, so let me know in the comments if you have the hydrangea and what kind of cards that you've made with this set. I don't know if I've shared this story before with the Heartfelt group, but when I was a kid, my grandmother had hydrangeas that grew all the way down one side of her yard. And me and my cousins, we used to play in the backyard, and we often played kitchen up on the back porch. And one year, we popped all the blooms off of all the hydrangeas and used them to be pretend food in our pretend kitchen on the back porch. And I don't remember my grandma ever really being mad at us, but that day I believe she was. We popped every single bloom off of every single hydrangea bush. So we weren't too smart. I guess it never entered our minds that they wouldn't just pop out some more tomorrow. You know, we didn't realize that flowers only, you know, bloomed occasionally there, and you should enjoy them while it's there. But one of my memories of hydrangeas, she also had peonies, and we did the same thing to her peonies. So all in the same time, though. We didn't do it twice. We only did it once. So. There we go. Whoa. So we're just going to fill this in all the way around, and then I'll show you how I do the centers of each flower. Whoops, I can get my glue on the bottom. Almost done. But you can see how it takes quite a few flowers to really give this a nice full look. I'll pull this one over so you can see it. Another thing that I really like about the hydrangea set is having these little bitty flowers. They're great to make little filler flowers for other projects, or you know, when you're making like little scene cards and you've got like a meadow or something and you just want a little flower to put like in the grass. These make great little filler flowers to have on hand for projects like that. So I like to have some little bags of these already created, ready to use in other projects as well. And you can see here, here's some I have that are purple and blue. And then I also have another little bag here where I've got, they're stamped in vivid chartreuse, but they will appear white when the flowers all put together. So I like to have the hydrangea flowers on hand. I hadn't made the actual hydrangea in a while, but I do use the little flowers in projects pretty regularly. Alright, just a few more in there, a couple more on the edges. I think I need one more right over here on this edge, and then this flower will be full. Right there. See how the stylus really comes in handy for pressing down? This is a flower where you definitely need your stylus. Okay, now that tissue that we put underneath really helps give it that domed look that a hydrangea has. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of glue right under here and hold that down because I don't want you to be able to see my tissue paper from underneath. There we go. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is to add our sentiment onto our tag. And for today's sentiment, let's see, I just had it just a second ago. What did I do with it? Okay. It says thinking of you, and I had it right here, and it looks like I have set it aside. We'll just use this one because I don't know what I've done with my thinking of you. I really preferred the thinking of you sentiment because that's kind of more useful to me. I use that more often. But the one that came in the set says you're one in a million, and that kind of just is reminiscent of the flower because there's so many beautiful little flowers on there. So we're going to go ahead and just use the 1 in a million one because I do not see what I have done with my thinking of you stamp. Sometimes I do that during the live. I set things aside so I will be able to find them, and then I can't find it. Alright, just found it. This is the set that it came from, the Cheerful Note. I had put it down a shelf and didn't see it. So I'm using the Thinking of You from the Cheerful Note sentiment. I knew I had that. Okay. Put that aside. I am going to use my Misty, just so I can be sure. And I'm putting that a little bit to the right on my tag because I know my leaf is going to, you know, come over to that side. So I don't want to, hopefully I have that in there straight. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to stamp that in the manganese blue. Do it a couple times. Looks like I did get him just a tad crooked. I didn't have it lined up too much. Alright. Now for my tag, I decided I wanted him to be lifted up a little bit. So I am going to add some of my foam onto the back just to give that a little more lift. But I'm not going to put it all the way up. I only want the ends to be lifted, so I'm going to just put 3 pieces down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to tuck it up under my flower. And I think I'm going to go ahead and trim off just a tad up there at the top. There we go. Oh yeah, we may throw the rest of that foam away. There we go. now we're just gonna take this and I'm gonna tuck it right under here and right up under our flower. If I didn't glue it down, there we go. And just glue that right down onto our card base. Now to finish this card off, we're going to do a couple things. And there's several ways that you can fill in the insides of your flowers. You can use a product like a Stickles or Pearls, those kinds of things. You can use Prills, not pink ones probably for the blue one, but you can use a Prill, or you can just use your glitter. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and get just my regular glitter that we use, and I'm going to fill the center of each flower with a little dollop of glue. And right now you're going to be able to see that glue, but when it dries, it'll dry clear and all you will see is a circle of glitter. And I like doing it this way because it doesn't take away from the overall flower. The centers don't draw your eye. You know, it's just subtle in there, where when you use Prills or colors and things like that, your eye is going to really focus on that color down in there, which can be nice, but for this one I wanted the flower to be the focal point. So I'm just going to put a little bead in the center of each flower. There we go, I think we got them all. Now from my jar, I'm just going to sprinkle it over. Give that just a second. Look at that, that's a lot of glitter. Dump that out, and there we go. Okay, the very last thing that I'm going to do, I thought about putting a bow over here, but I changed my mind on that, and I decided to add a few iridescent gems. So let's, or actually I think I went with chrome. Yeah, I did. I went with some kind of chrome looking gems. And I thought they kind of picked up my chrome frame, and I liked those on there. So these are sticky back already, so that's always kind of nice. I don't have to add anything. I'm just going to put a couple down there, and then I think I decided to put a couple up on the tag here. All right. The only thing left to do would be to add it to our 5x7 card base, and we have our hydrangea card ready to go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch my camera back. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Heartfelt Friday. I will be live over on Heartfelt Creations channel later on today, so do join me over there, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Continue to create for the fun of it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.